Hello, everybody, and welcome back to episode 16 of the Go-To Podcast with me, your host, Anthony DiDomenico, coming to you every week, always available on every podcast platform, from Spotify, Apple, Amazon, wherever you get your podcast, you can find us. Also available on YouTube, over at youtube.com at the Go-To Pod. Check us out there, subscribe, like, do all the things. Welcome back to this week's episode. It's been it wasn't really an eventful week, crazy week at work, but had myself a good week otherwise. It was funny. I was at my brother's house. I've been going there almost about every day to have cigars with my pop, and my sister-in-law was like, "So what happened at the lounge? Tell me, something had to happen." I'm like, "Nothing happened. I'm just really enjoying sitting outside with my dad having cigars." You know, my dad's been telling me for a while, he's like, "I don't know why you just don't come over and sit in the backyard instead of paying all that money at the lounge and this and that." And he's right. And I did it, and I've been enjoying it. We watch the Yankee games outside, and he goes to bed sometimes a little too early for my liking. Sometimes I like to stay up a little later, but other than that, it's been great seeing the kids just hanging out. Don't get me wrong, I do like the lounge. I went on Saturday. It was good to see everybody. I didn't see everybody, but who I saw was good to see. But, you know, I'm taking advantage of the summer. I'm taking advantage of, smoking the cigars I have in my humidor. And, yeah, we're going to keep it going as long as we can, as long as the weather permits. I even, it's been a little warm. And so Friday night, I went to my brother's. And they were going to be out until like 8 o'clock. So I stopped at Ace and I bought some firewood and I made a fire. And it was tough because, like, usually I didn't have a fire starter with me or any kindling. So usually what I do is I take like a Target bag and I'll crinkle it up and I'll light that. And usually it lights everything, but it was so humid out. The wood wasn't the best. And I couldn't get the fire started for anything. I'm sitting there, I'm dripping sweat because I'm bent over. I'm doing all this stuff. And then I remember all the camping videos I watch. When these guys make a fire, they do like small pieces of kindling. And it's funny when I'm watching it, it's just because I like, I like a campfire so much. I like big campfires. They're making these small, they take these pieces of wood and they light them on fire and they babysit the fire and they drop them on. I'm like, that seems like so like frustrating. But it's what I had to do. So I took the small pieces of wood, I lit that on fire, and I kept on adding a small piece at a time. And eventually built up to a big enough flame where I put a bigger log on top of it. That caught on fire, and eventually I had the fire. My dad came home and he's like, "Oh, it's so hot, that fire." But their question is it ever too hot for a campfire? I say no. To me, it's you're sitting outside, you're dead staring into the campfire. It's relaxing, it's enjoyable. Yeah, it does put off more heat than you probably need at a hot, humid night, but I don't know. There's just something about it that I could, no matter what the temperature is, how hot it is, I could sit there by a fire. And I wonder if anybody else is like that. Message me if you are. Let me know. Comment on whatever you're listening to below, and let me know if that's how you feel as well. Is it ever too hot to have a fire? I say no. The ambiance is just amazing. It's just you can get lost in it, and that's what I like about it. But sitting outside and smoking these cigars, I've gone through a lot of my reserves. I have a electric humidor that controls both the temperature and the humidity, and it holds about 150 cigars, 100 to 150. It's probably good at around 100, 120. So it's, if you get to 150, you're really packing them in. Depends on the size of the cigar as well. I smoke Gordos. They're 6x60, so it usually takes up a little more room than than smaller cigars. But I was getting down to the nitty gritty. And my go-to place online to buy cigars is cigarpage.com. And anybody who is into cigars, who's a novice, who, if you're just looking to get into cigars, or somebody who smokes cigars, let them know about cigarpage.com. They have amazing deals. They email you deals all the time. It's like basically they're just reaching into your pocket and taking your money. That's how good the deals are because you have to get them once you see them. And I always like the sampler deals. They do, around the holidays and things like that, they'll do a sampler deal where you buy 4 or more sample packs, like 5 packs, and it's like ridiculous. It's like $15 to $20 for the sample pack, which is like $4 to $5 a cigar. And for the 4th of July, they had that deal. They had a deal you buy 4 or more sample packs, which sample pack is like it's either the same cigar brand but different sizes, or the manufacturer with different types of cigars. So it's like, it's a sample pack in the fact that you're getting a few different cigars. And I like that because I like to smoke a lot of different stuff. So if they had a thing for 4th of July, you buy 4 or more, and the sample packs were $17.76, a nod to America's birthday. So I bought 5 packs, and I got the package in on Saturday. So I immediately took it, and I hope I smoked 3 of them today. That's how I couldn't wait to get into them. And the cigars I got were great. I had a La Polina Illusion Lancero, which I've been smoking more Lanceros. I'm not a Lancero guy, but I've been smoking more of them because my dad's been smoking them, and he's got me into them. I had a Lunatic. It was in the shape of a flying pig. If you know the feral pigs, that's the shape it was in. And then I had a Paladina. It was a huge cigar. It was like I think it was bigger, like 6 by 64. And that's what I did today. I sat in the backyard, my brother's backyard. It was beautiful, and I just enjoyed my cigars. And I got another order from Cigar Page coming because they had a deal on Dunbarton's, which is my favorite cigar brand. So I'll be stocked up now for the good part of the summer and just enjoying that good weather. As you guys know, I mentioned, lighting the fire from the camping videos and things. Those camping videos for me are very therapeutic. I don't know what it is, but watching people go out there and camp and do these things, it relaxes me and calms me down. And I started following this newer YouTuber, or newer to camping videos, Noah Fay. His page is at Noah Fay Outdoors on YouTube. And this week, he didn't do a camping video. He was away for a wedding, but he wanted to get a video out, and he did like a My Story, a little background on his, how he got to where he is today. And let me tell you something, I was blown away by this. This kid was so open, honest, and truthful about his struggles, his failures, his setbacks. I'm not going to call them failures, setbacks, put it that way. Because listen, I don't think we ever really fail. We have setbacks. We have things that, kind of knock us down, and we get back up and we keep going. And I related to a lot of this. And for this kid to be talking about this, I don't know how old he is. He looks like he's in his 20s, maybe he's 30. But he's been through it. And, what he was talking about, especially when he's talking about anxiety attacks and dealing with anxiety, I relate to that a lot. And just how he's always picked himself up by the bootstraps and for lack of a better term, and a nod to my old podcast, he moves forward. He keeps moving forward. And I wrote that to him too. I said, listen, man, I relate to a lot what you're saying. And, I said, it's funny, I deal with anxiety too. And I said, videos like yours and other content creators, like my buddy Sam from the Northwest Wind, those camping videos relax me and kind of calm me down. It's just something simple about being outdoors and, cooking food, on the fire and just taking it easy. And it's still what, motivates me to want to try camping one day, even though I've sworn it off. But I still have an itch in me to try it. And who knows, maybe one day I will. But I just thought, like, this kid talking about this stuff, it really was great. And you know what? I think more men should talk about mental health and their fears and their setbacks instead of bottling it in. I've talked about it a lot on my old podcast. I've talked about it on this one. I mentioned my buddy Sam from the Northwest Wind. He talks about it on his channel every week. There's nothing wrong with, talking and dealing with mental health. There's nothing wrong with it at all. I mean, I know I myself go through it every July. July's a tough month for me. It has been since my mom passed away. My mom's birthday is July 7th. The day she passed away is July 21st. And I went to my brother's on the 7th, and my dad showed me he got a picture of my mom. And my mom she's in the wall. She's not she doesn't have like a gravesite. She's in the mausoleum in the wall. And my dad got a picture there. I mean, he showed it to me. I started crying. I just, it was her birthday, a lot of emotion. Um, it's just tough. It was nice though. My dad, at the end of the night, walking to the car, he gave me a hug, and I knew it was because he knows I'm having a tough time. So I just want him to know that I know why he did that, and thank you, Pop. I appreciate that because I know he listens to this when he walks. But yeah, I mean, and I should follow my own advice. I don't talk about things enough. I talk about it here. It's weird. I have a microphone and there's a camera, and strangers are listening, and I could open up more like this into people that I know. And listen, that's on me. That's my problem. That's my issues. Usually I open up to my buddy Nick. He's kind of like my pseudo therapist. I'm kind of his. And we kind of help each other back and forth with that stuff. But yeah, I think it's great that guys can come, talk about this stuff and break that stereotype down of that, men have to be men and, not talk about these things. I think that's toxic masculinity. People like to say toxic masculinity is like, doing men things. There's nothing wrong with being a man. I love being a man. I enjoy it. I enjoy the things that come with that. Me doing things that I think are traditionally for men or following, chivalry and, just being respectful. I don't think that's toxic at all. I think it's toxic when we follow the stereotypes of not talking about issues and not opening up to people and to keeping things inside bottled up and then hurting ourselves. That's toxic. And the further we can get away from that, the better off we're going to be. That's it. All right, let's talk about something less serious, I guess, and more fun. I don't want to bring the mood down, but it was just something I wanted to talk about and say. My go-to coffee of the week was from Buzzed in Belmore on Long Island. I've mentioned this place many times before because it is my Sunday coffee spot. My brothers always stop there. And each month they do a flavor of the month. And I went and I tried their flavor of the month, and it was awesome. It was absolutely delicious. This month's flavor is a salted honey butter latte. And the first thing I thought of when honey butter was the Outdoor Boys. Luke from the Outdoor Boys. That's what he puts on his bread is honey butter. He's famous for bread and honey butter. And I was like, wow, I got to try this just because, that's what Luke's into. And he, it's his thing. And I thought it was going to be really sweet. And those flavors would be overpowering, but it wasn't. It's a nice, smooth flavor. It goes really well together. The coffee wasn't overly sweet, had a nice flavor to it. I get mine with almond milk instead of whole milk, or that's just how I like it. Definitely go check it out before the month's over. If you're on Long Island, Buzz Coffee. It used to be an old Trader Joe's. My cousin Joe used to work at Trader Joe's. It used to be a dairy barn that my cousin Joe worked at. I say it every time because that's what I'm gonna do. But seriously, it's a fantastic coffee. All their coffees there are fantastic, and they have these oatmeal craisin cookies right now that are out of this world. So, not that I should be eating them, but whenever I go there, I have to get one. Sorry. Once a week, it's okay. That's treat yourself. But it's delicious. Good coffee. Like I said, most my morning coffee is always hot, and I usually drink it black at work. So I usually have a black coffee in the morning, and then at night is when I have my fancy coffees, or in the afternoon is when I allow myself an iced coffee. And listen, I could drink hot coffee 100 degrees. I could drink iced coffee 20 degrees. It doesn't matter. The temperature does not dictate my coffee. I like iced coffee when it's cold and I like hot coffee when it's hot. Just all year round, both of them. That's just how I roll. So I did, if you want to check out my Instagram page at Comic Anthony D, I did do a fuck your pumpkin spice because as you guys know, I do not like anything pumpkin spice, and we're right around the corner from that. They're gonna start with that shit middle of September, and then it rolls around and comes out full fledged in September. I do not like anything pumpkin spice. I don't like pumpkin. It's the worst flavor for coffee, and I don't get on this trend, this bandwagon, where now everyone's with the pumpkin spice. So every time I do a coffee review, it's called "Fuck Your Pumpkin Spice" because I think that there are so many better flavors out there, and pumpkin is not the flavor of fall. Apple is. And that's the hill I will die on. I'm sorry, but apple is the true flavor of fall. Any apple flavor is better than pumpkin. Apple pie better than pumpkin pie. There's Starbucks makes a shaken apple crisp espresso. I said espresso. I hate when people say that. I don't know why I just said it's espresso. But that is better than the pumpkin spice lattes. I'm sorry. Say it a million times over. So much better. And I just made it to Buzz. I made it to Buzz by 3:00 today. They close at 4. But I just couldn't get out of bed today. It was one of those days, one of those mornings where you get up, the air conditioning was ice cold. I was so comfortable wrapped up in my sheets, and I just could not get out of bed. And I had like a weird dream right before I got up. I dreamt that I was in my grandmother's kitchen, and me and my brother are sitting there, and he is pouring me warm Diet Coke in an espresso mug. And that's how I was drinking it. I don't know what that means. I don't know what that's about. But that was the dream I had before I woke up this morning. Kind of crazy. But what are you going to do? They say old dreams mean something. I don't know what this means. My brother want to give me Diet Coke? Does he have Diet Coke for me? I don't know. Maybe it's because I've been at his house every day. It's like he's spoon feeding me like one of his children. I am definitely Uncle Buck. I mean, it's definitely, I am the older brother who is the black sheep of the family. In every movie, TV show, there is one. That's me. And I kind of embrace it a little bit. I love Uncle Buck. I have Uncle Cheese written on my arm and with the kids' names, and I have it in the Uncle Buck writing. I'm Fredo from The Godfather. I'm the older brother whose little brother runs everything. Any of those older brother, little brother scenarios where the little brother is, more responsible and everything than the older brother, that's me. I am definitely the black sheep of the family. I embrace it. It doesn't make me upset. I don't think it's anything bad, but someone's got to be the screw up, and that is me. I always joke around my dad and say that I'm the first pancake. The first pancake, you make it just comes out, it looks weird. It's just misshaped. Still tastes good. Still a good pancake, but it's a little weird looking, a little odd. Second pancake, okay, you're ready to rock and roll. That's the Instagram worthy one. That's the one you post on Instagram. And he hates when I say that, but it's a joke. We joke around. That's what we do. But speaking of pancakes, I guess, and snacks, my go-to snack of the week in the last couple weeks has been Hillshire snacking. I get it at Target. It's Genoa and white cheddar with toasted rounds. Just a nice little, like almost like a crudité board, I guess, or as we say, any past. It's like, a couple slices of salami, some cheddar, and the toasted rounds, and it's just nice. It's just nice snacking, nice crunch. I like my salami and cheese like anybody else. And I've been getting them at Target to snack on sometimes after work. Because sometimes if I have lunch at work, I'm not hungry, like starving for dinner. So I'll get 2 of these. It's not a lot in them, and I have that for dinner sometimes, just to have a light dinner. What are you gonna do? Delicious though, absolutely delicious. So definitely check that out. I get them at Target. They also have them at 7-Eleven, but Target is my go-to. Target's my sorry. I was moving I hurt my leg. I was moving and it hurt again. You know, I need to know that. But I said ow, and I don't want you to think I said ow on the podcast and that I'm in pain or something. But I just tweaked my slug for a second. I said ow. I'm sorry. A professional podcaster would edit all that out, but that's not how I roll. Everything stays in. So yeah, check that out. Target. I love Target pickup. It's the best. The best carryover from COVID. I don't got to deal with people. I buy exactly what I need because you go into Target. You wander around that store. You're spending more. You're spending $100 more than you intended. Every time. Now, sometimes I do like to go in and see what they got, but if I know what I need and know what I want, I'm in and out. I do the Target pickup, and we're good to go. And I don't spend more money than I need to. Easy peasy. In less than a month, I'll be 47, and I feel myself getting older. I notice I have like a bedtime routine now. I when you get old, I never had a bedtime routine, but I do now. Before I go to bed, I take my gummies. I have my gummy fiber and my gummy melatonin. I take that before I go to sleep. It's kind of like when I used to take my Flintstone chewables when I was a kid. Now I'm into the gummies at night. I don't, I do take my vitamins in the morning, my breakfast. But as I get older now, I just take a couple of gummies. The fiber ones for fiber. It's just good to keep everything, on the up and up without getting too into detail. It's listen, we all like that to go smooth. And melatonin I've taken, it just helps me fall asleep at night because I never used to have a problem with falling asleep. But, sometimes with my anxiety, and I lay there and I start thinking about things, and you know how that goes. So I take some melatonin at night, and it's just a nice, smooth drift off into La La Land. I thought, like, what I was going to do is take a weed gummy at night and go to sleep because weed does make me sleepy. That's why I don't smoke it anymore. I used to smoke it a lot in my 20s. And then when I turned 30, it started making me like groggy and sleepy. So I had a friend give me a gummy. I took a quarter of one night and I was like all paranoid. I'm in bed. I'm like, something's going to come get me. Like, I didn't like it. I didn't sleep good. And my office manager turned me on to melatonin. And it's been a dream ever since. So I get that from Amazon, and I get the gummies too for the fiber. And my dad turned me on to the fiber gummies. I started doing that when I was taking Wegovy. And I just kept the habit. So that's my nighttime routine. Also, I've talked about this too. I like to shower at night. Put the air conditioner on, get nice and cold, come out of the shower, into the bed. Everything's like your body temperature's down. Pop my gummies that don't get you high, and I go to sleep. It's beautiful. It really is. That's my old man nighttime routine. Yeah, no, the weed gummy just messed me up. That's why I don't mess with like substances really. I'm not a big drinker. I'm not. I don't mess around with anything else. It's just not my thing. When I was younger, I did drink. I was a beer drinker. But even then, like I like it once in a while because I actually do like the taste of beer. I think beer to me it's a delicious taste, and I do enjoy an ice cold beer sometimes. Like we're at my brother's backyard, and it's a nice day, and he's got the cooler filled with ice and the beer in there. I will grab a beer and drink it because it's delicious. And he found these. I talked about it last week on 4th of July. These Busch Light apple beers. It's a limited time. I don't think you can get them anymore, but it was so crisp and delicious. And to me, a Bud Light, the same thing. I could Bud Light to me, an ice cold Bud Light goes down smooth every time. And a couple other beers that I like Sam Adams Oktoberfest, their summer ale. But I keep it simple. Like a Bud Light's fine for me. You know, I don't need anything more than that. And I have it maybe once a month, once or twice a month. My main drink is coffee, water, and Diet Coke. Those are my favorite drinks. And they pair very well with cigars. So that's what I like. Those are my go-tos. And what I like, this is my go-to every night is I stop by Wendy's and I get a large Diet Coke with a cherry Diet Coke with extra ice. That is my favorite go-to. I order on the app because I feel weird just ordering a Diet Coke at a drive-through. So I order I do it on the app, and I go pick it up. And that to me is delicious. Wendy's lets you put different flavors. Maybe I'll try other flavors. I had they have lime, they have other flavors as well with the Diet Coke. So maybe I'll try that. I'll try a different flavor tomorrow. But a DC, an ice cold DC, nothing better than that. Absolutely better. A lot of ice. I don't care if I get less sody. Put extra ice in there. I like it nice and cold. I never was like that. As I got older, I've appreciated ice more. That's an old man statement. I appreciate ice. What it does, the functionality of it. Anyway, I want to thank everybody who joined us this week and listening to my rants in Michigas. I appreciate all of you guys. Seriously, it's been an awesome 16 weeks. I say it every week because it really is. You guys have no idea what doing this podcast really means to me. It's just great being on the air and talking, and whoever's listening, enjoying it. It makes me happy to know that you guys are out there doing that. And the podcast is always available on any podcast platform. Also available on YouTube, youtube.com at the go-to pod. On any of those platforms, please 5-star rate and review. Let me know what you're thinking of the podcast. I have a link to buy me a coffee. All the money goes back into the podcast, keeping the lights on. And everybody who's donated, thank you so much. Much appreciated. Couldn't do it without you guys. You can follow me over on Instagram at Comic Anthony D. I'm actually toying changing the name because I don't really do comedy anymore. So we'll see if that's on. I'll play around with that this week and see maybe next week I'll have a different Instagram name. But for right now, it's Comic Anthony D. Check it out. And everybody have a wonderful week. And we'll be back next week with more go-tos. Have a good one. I'll talk to you later.